Is it right for care workers to go on strike? 0207 862 2222. That's the number. Get your calls in now. And this is why. Care staff in Scotland will walk out later this month over a pay dispute. It's the first national care walkout in more than a decade. The Care Workers Union says the strike is in response to years of broken promises and delays regarding social care funding, and that the pay doesn't reflect the responsibility care staff carry, and many are struggling to make ends meet. Scotland's social care minister has said the Scottish budget will enable adult social care workers to be paid at least the real living wage of £12.60 an hour, and that we value the vital role social care workers play in delivering high-quality care. They say pay rises beyond that amount have to be discussed with individual employers, but care workers all want to be paid more. Reem, I'm going to come to you. Earlier on this week, we were talking about visas for care workers from overseas, and the argument from a lot of people, particularly the right hand of the spectrum, if you like, was saying can't let them in because otherwise paying conditions won't improve for care workers who come from this country. This is the process by which pay and conditions improve. So you must be in favour of it, right?
Well, no, I'm actually not. And this is the point, actually. When you've got a competitive market in adult social care or in any industry, you're able to really realise what that person is worth. And fundamentally, you can't have a government deciding what an individual care worker is worth. It should be decided by supply and demand. In any labour market, that's how things work. And so when we're looking at these particular issues, individual employers can decide how much they would like to pay a particular worker. And if there are more people applying for a job, then that might mean that they're not able to pay as much. But if they are struggling to hire, then they might increase the salary. That's how salaries are decided. OK,
we have to go to a break. Andy, we're going to get your opinion on this straight after the break. And you guys don't go anywhere because we're taking your calls as well. Is it right for care workers to go on strike? Get in touch, 0207 862 2222. Are they right to strike? I want your calls, 0207 862 2222. Andy, we couldn't come to you before the break. Do you support them?
I am supporting them, yes, absolutely. Their pay is around £12 an hour. That's below the real living wage. It's going to be below the minimum wage very soon. And the point is, in fact, it might already be, the point is, as a society, how much do we value the people who look after the most infirm in our society?
Well, who's paying?
And we should be paying. Why are we quibbling over the pay of these people? Like when I get elderly or when I'm infirm, we have money for various things, and we know that. Listen,
we're paying the highest tax burden in history.
To finish my point, these are extraordinarily important people in our society. If we cannot pay people properly to look after those who need our help and our support when they're elderly or infirm, then what sort of society are we? I don't want to live in a country where we're even having to debate
We obviously do have money, Reem. We have money for all sorts of things, new projects, and yet when it comes to this, suddenly, we're pulling our pockets out and there's just fluff.
So the majority of your council tax will be going to things that actually you never end up seeing. So obviously you get your bins collected and you get your potholes filled if they end up getting filled. But the majority of spending in the council are things that the government require them to spend money on. One of them is adult social care. So the things that the majority of people that pay taxes will never see. We are currently suffering under the highest tax burden on record history. We have no more money left. And I'm sorry, but the question of where we fund this is really where we need to be having the conversation.
We're talking about profiteering private companies here. That's what we're talking about.
I do want
to be paying people better.
I want to take some calls on this. Asta's in York. Asta, tell me, do you support care workers in Scotland during this strike?
Yeah, I do, absolutely. I'm physically disabled and I've had experience in the care industry. I'm a disability rights campaigner and, I completely agree with Andy. If we can afford to go and pay for war and we can pay for arms, and we can afford to pay the carers who pay for the most vulnerable people in our society. They're actually paying.
Tell me about the carers that you've worked with, what they do, what they receive, what their lives are like.
I've been with carers who worked 12-hour shifts, absolutely knackered by the end of it, and they still haven't got a penny to rub together. They travel miles and miles, most of them, to get to their workplaces, and they still haven't got a penny to rub together. And a lot of them were from other countries, and they were actually sending money back home to support their families. What kind of situation are we in this country? Well, like Andy says, where we have to actually debate this. I asked the other person, if it was one of your family members, would you be quibbling like this?
If they go on strike, aren't they leaving exactly those people in the lurch, though?
Yeah, but what else do we do? I mean, you know, at the end of the day, Matt, this country is rich. You know, we talk about we haven't got any money here and there, but look at all the money they're spending elsewhere. Why can't we spend the money to help people here, you know, who really need it?
This country is far from rich. It's pretty poor. We're actually
Oh,
poorer
come
than
off
the
it.
poorest state in the United States. The poorest state in the United States
Absolutely.
is Mississippi.